For many people, the 71st running of the 12 Hours of Sebring will be remembered for one thing, the big one. With just under 20 minutes to go and after numerous safety car restarts, the top 5 in the GTP category found themselves in a battle for the win. A couple of laps after a safety car restart, the top 3 cars had broken away from the other 2 and were in the process of navigating through the slower GTD traffic through the field. This is when disaster struck. The number 6 Porsche driven by Mathieu Jaminet caught up to the battling GTD Pro duo of the Risi Competizione Ferrari and the Corvette Racing Corvette. And as a result of catching up to them, he didn't really have an opportunity to go past. They were side by side and he had to check up a little bit. This gave the number 10 Acura of Felipe Albuquerque a great run coming through on the exit of turn 1. He saw this opportunity and he wanted to capitalize going into the heavy braking zone for turn 3. As a result of this, Albuquerque dove to the inside, and just moments after Albuquerque dove to the inside, Jaminet went to go to the inside as well, except this time to go around the side-by-side duo of those GTD Pro cars. The result was Albuquerque got pushed off the track a little bit, got into the dirt, going into the hard braking zone for turn 3, and at that point, he was just along for the ride. Albuquerque ended up sliding through the dirt and crashing into the number 6 Porsche. Meanwhile, third place, the number 7 of Felipe Nasr came piling into the situation as well with nowhere really to go. Nasr actually hit the 10 quite hard and then essentially went over his sister car, the number 6, before coming to a stop off track. Now importantly, everyone would walk away from this crash, but it was a shame to see the top 3 competitors in GTP eliminated from the race, not to mention they actually took a couple of GT cars with them, although they didn't really sustain much damage. Naturally, there were a lot of knee-jerk reactions to this accident. Many were blaming Albuquerque for diving up the inside so aggressively. Plenty of people were blaming Jaminet for swerving to the left and forcing Albuquerque off track. Heck, there were even people blaming the GT cars who were just battling it out for a spot on the podium in front of them. Let's dive into these a little bit here, and we'll start with the easiest one to just eliminate from this situation. The GTD cars here are not to blame at all. They were battling for a shot at their own respective podium, and they have every right to be able to battle side by side. They didn't really do anything crazy to help trigger this accident at all. This is just multi-class racing. It happened at a very narrow portion of the track, and ultimately these GTD cars unfortunately got involved in this as well. To explore it a little bit more, let's take a closer look at it. Alright, so here are the cars heading into turn 1 here. You can see right up at the front, we kind of have this gaggle of GT cars. Then you have the leader at the time, that's Jaminet. And then further back here, you have the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing Acura. You can see at this point that the Wayne Taylor Racing Acura, he's got a really good run on Jaminet here, who's, again, he's caught up to this gaggle of GT cars that are all stuck there. And then as they continue to go through turns 1, Felipe Albuquerque tries to go around the outside. He realizes that he's not going to be able to get that move done around the outside. So what's his only option really at that point? Well, to dive to the inside. But as you can see here, Jaminet is kind of caught up between the Risi and the BMW that's right there. That's a nice little cluster drawing. And at this point, Jaminet is probably not going to have much of an option to try and go around the inside as well. Now here you can see Albuquerque's made his move. He's jumped to the inside lane from where he was on that outside lane a moment ago. And Jaminet has also ducked out. He was tucked in right sort of behind the Corvette here, and now he is starting to make a move to the inside. Technically he's still clear, but he may not be fully aware that Albuquerque is about to make this move. Another important aspect to consider here is that Albuquerque might not know that these 2 GT cars are too wide. This would be because his line of sight would only allow him to see that one GT, the Risi Ferrari, and not see the second Corvette on the outside. As this has continued on, you can see that Jaminet continued to move to the outside as Albuquerque still attempted to go up the inside. It needs to be remembered that there is a small kink here that's categorized as turn 2 just before heading into turn 3, which is why you'll see the Corvette kind of take this slight arch out to maximize that turn. By this point, the Acura and the Porsche have made contact. The Acura has gone off a little bit. The Porsche still remains there, but also you also notice there is only 3 lanes here for cars to be able to travel through. They would not have been able to stay 4 wide for sure going into turn 3. And in addition to, of course, upsetting the Acura, who at this point is fully in the dirt, that the Porsche also got a little bit upset in this as well, heading into, again, the very hard braking zone for turn 3. Here, we still see the Acura right off up against the wall here. He clearly is not able to stop. You can see those brake lights are glowing red. Meanwhile, back on track, Jaminet, who's the rear of his car looked to be a little bit upset in one of the other replays. He had a hard time getting on the brakes. He actually here gets into the back of the Risi Competizione Ferrari a little bit, and that's going to cause a chain reaction for those 3 GT cars that were battling in the Pro class. Also worth keeping an eye on as it comes into the picture here, this is the number 7 Porsche who would enter the accident right at the end. So the bump by Jaminet on the back of Risi caused the Risi car to go into the corner a little bit hot and ended up spinning out the Corvette here as well. Meanwhile, entering the scene of the accident was the Wayne Taylor Racing Acura. And seeing what's about to unfold here, you can see Felipe Nasr. He's backed off a little bit, but he does have the Volt Racing number 77 right beside him, as well as another GTD class car behind him. Again, here, just at about the point of contact for the first and second place cars, you can see that these GT cars are pretty much blocking the track at this point anyways. Even not considering this battle, I don't know how we would have saw the number 6 Porsche even get through this if he didn't get hit. You can also see further back here, we also have Felipe Nasr that's about to get rear-ended and kind of pushed into the aftermath of all of this. We have the number 6 Porsche, we have a couple of spun GTD cars, and then this is the moment of contact where Felipe Albuquerque really took a hard hit. You can see that Felipe Nasr here in this Porsche is getting pushed from behind by this GT car and also going right into Felipe Albuquerque. This was quite a hard hit for Felipe. By the time the dust settles, you have the number 10 over here, the number 6 car, which has just been essentially run over by its sister car, finds itself in the middle, and then Felipe Nasr in that number 7, who kind of got pushed into it. He ends up the farthest of all of them. He would drive on a little bit farther, but he would not be able to continue. Now, after this accident took place, the 2 drivers, Albuquerque and Jaminet, who were mainly responsible for this accident, they came up and they immediately apologized to one another. They were both spoken to by a reporter at Sportscar 365. I'll link the article in the show notes. And they said that they both viewed it as a racing incident and that nobody was prominently to blame, with Jaminet saying it is definitely not the way that they wanted to end their race. Really, unfortunately, in a situation like this, everyone loses. The crash took out 3 great cars, and the top 3 cars at the time, and cost them a good finish in this race. All the other drivers out on track, well, they lost too. They didn't get an opportunity to have a good, clean, green flag run to the finish of their races. Although they did get a couple of laps of green flag after the track workers were able to clean this mess up. Which actually, huge shout out to the track workers. They did a great job in getting this accident, which was a pretty big one, cleaned up and the track back in a good state for a couple of laps of green flag racing at the end. But really, at the end of the day, in a situation like this, it's the fans who lose out the most. This battle was really shaping up to be a great one, and really one that we were lacking at Daytona to start that GTP era. I mean, we had all four manufacturers in it as of the start of that safety car restart. Before that, all of them had a shot to win, and just in one fell swoop, this eliminated 3 of the 5 cars that were fighting for the win. It really was unfortunate, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Again, being respectful to everybody. And I will also be coming out with a full recap of the 12 hours of Sebring, covering all 5 classes here in the coming days, so you want to make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. In the meantime though, there were plenty of headlines to keep up with heading into the 12 hours of Sebring. You can learn all about those right here. Big shout out to all of the Patreon supporters. If you too want to support the show, you can head to patreon.com/offinthes. Once again, thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great race weekend and doesn't go off in the S's.